My name is Dennis Gill with the Americans in Wartime Experience. Today's date is 4 March 2022, and I've got the pleasure of interviewing Ashley, and I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, so could you tell me your last name?
Of course. So my full name is Ashley Gorbulja Maldonado.
Perfect. Okay. Give me your, you were in the military
Yes.
as well. What branch of service were you in?
I was in the Ohio Army National Guard for
Okay.
8 years as
Okay.
a military police sergeant.
I got you.
So I enjoyed the capacities in which I refer to MPs as multi-purpose. So
Right.
I did a lot of fun things in 8 years. I'm a non-deployed, non-combat vet, but I will say hands-on work that I was able to do with my soldiers and improving their lives, both professionally and personally, gave me a lot of steam that ended up,
Right.
moving me in the direction of advocacy and policy and some other fun things. So I'm really fortunate to my
Right.
time in the service.
What? Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
So I was born and grew up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
So Northeast Ohio, Rust Belt. Hopefully we're going to be buffing that out here sooner than later. I come from a manufacturing stock. I know what it's like to work summers in the shop and help my dad. Recession was just one of those things that we all had to deal with in different ways, and military became an option for me to alleviate financial burden off my family.
Did you?
So-
Is that where you graduated high school and all that?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Where do you call home now?
So right now, I currently reside in Washington, D.C.,
Okay.
in the Southwest, and I've moved in the different quadrants of D.C. within the past 3-4 years now. I've enjoyed myself. City living is definitely different from living 20 minutes from a cornfield and 20 minutes from a lake. I will tell you that.
Right.
Very different. So, I got brought out to D.C. through a lot of my veteran advocacy roles. I was very fortunate, and in my desire to join the service, I did a lot of research. And who would have thought that critical skill would lead me to being offered a job on the spot to work at a community college and help establish a veteran program and run a veteran program in conjunction with my director at a community college. And then next thing I know, I'm doing it at the university that I'm attending, and I'm in the Guard, and I'm doing all these things that are veteran and military connected community. So as things progressed naturally, I went from medical, pursuing degree to moving towards a entrepreneurial and education degree or policy and public health, and now my second master's in public leadership. So
Okay.
who would have thought,
Right,
right? All
right.
these weird serendipitous events that have happened
Right.
over the course of, I'd say, just about the decade, I'm 28 and people can't believe some of the stuff I've done.
Right.
And I credit that to the service.
Right. What kind of advocacy do you do?
So as a woman veteran, I love to work with the Military Women's Memorial, the American Legion. I've spent a lot of time working with Student Veterans of America as an alumni and a mentor. In my Legion capacity, I've been a national appointee. I've been an intern in education and employment. I've, looked at all of our legislative agenda and policy, and I've been able to be a voice. And I've always felt very heard in any organization that I've applied myself to, and I was always just so shocked. Like, the mentorship is there. It's just you have to seek and ask for it. So those, I would say, are like the three that I've really kind of dabbled with throughout my career in the service and now as a young professional. But I will say, hands down, I've been doing a lot with the American Legion. It's been a great experience to be on their national podcast, to be a co-host. So I get to interview and talk to the most amazing people that are either starting a brand new nonprofit, or they're already a CEO, or they're bolstering a program that enhances the welfare and well-being, if you will, of military spouses or military children or the veterans themselves, from medical to home loans to disability, you name it. I've been able to have those conversations, and meaningful ones at that. And don't get me wrong, we sprinkle in some fun there. There are some weird, wacky things that happen in our community that we're just like, well.
You got to talk about it.
Absolutely, yes.
So let's take you back to last November 2021, the flower ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Oh boy.
Tell me about that.
Such a beautiful, crisp morning. I remember hearing about the events that were going to be taking place, and I was on watch. I was just looking at all of my digital resources, newsletters, waiting for it to go live to secure a spot, to be one of the first to pay my respects and lay flowers, to be that close to the tomb. It's never been done. So I felt a moral obligation as an Army veteran who that's just a sacred spot for Americans, as well as just being a service member. I just recall arriving that day and in my best. I remember I had this cute little poppy pin on. I was ecstatic and nervous, overcome with all kinds of emotions as I made my way up. I believe it's Roosevelt Boulevard. And I was just clutching these white roses, and I had brought them my own. I hand selected them. I went to the florist in Eastern Market. I told her what I was doing, and she was like, "No, this one, no, that one." And just taking a real sense of pride in being able to approach this beautiful, beautiful place of reflection, and just reminds you how freedom comes at a cost. So to stand there and wait and see everyone, of course, all in their dress blues, and some of the men and women there just, all right, it's your turn. You take a deep breath and you just approach, and you're like, wow, I'm walking the line of, the sentinels, and that's an amazing feeling. It's also a terrifying feeling because I'm like, please don't fall, please don't fall. Wearing your heels, feeling like on top of the world could also be a very much so tragedy in front of that memorial. So.
Do you feel like you approached it differently because you have a military background than somebody who doesn't?
I think as both a history lover of American history and military history, there is a sense of profound appreciation for those that have come before me. I've always felt that, World War II, they say it's the greatest generation, but I do wholesomely believe that every generation thereafter has been the best of their generation. And as I look onward to, the soldiers, the airmen, the Marines, the folks that I've never met that will one day raise their right hand, I know that everyone will be able to come back to this place, and that's our place, right? So I do believe that as a service member, I hold it a little bit more unique, just for what I've been trained, what I've been told, and how it makes me feel about my country.
Tell us about what did you witness that day? What stood out to you? Just from the whole thing.
There were just so many people from all walks of life. I was walking up the road, and I ended up meeting a gentleman that I knew back from Ohio that we had done some work together. Just at random, I looked over my left shoulder and I called his name, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're here." He's like, "I didn't know you were going to be here." Not planned, right? So to see an old friend, but then meet new friends that made an attempt to travel from all over the country to be the first to do this, with and without military background, was outstanding. Just very somber, but it was very unifying. It was very unifying to see so many people in line, just picking the flowers of their choice and taking that moment to just reflect in front and being that close to the memorial itself.
Is this something that you think should be regularly done? Is it a yearly event, every 10 years, maybe wait another 100?
I think that it's a very meaningful event. I don't know if I have the right answer for that, because for us to have waited 100 years to even be allowed to get anywhere close as to when they, had the official ceremony, it provided so much more meaning. But I do believe that if Americans who are visiting Arlington National Cemetery and others want to pay their respects, there should be an opportunity for them to do that. Maybe a special day, maybe it is Veterans Day, maybe it's leading up to, just as we take a glance at the journey of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. That could be an option. That would be something I'm sure Arlington National Cemetery would be, weighing very heavily on, given the amount of attention to detail that role and assignment places on the soldier and the command, and the amount of just folks that visit nationally. It's a big deal. So I imagine, as a former service member, a lot of logistics, and it'd have to be on paper for me to believe it.
Right. Does the tomb still matter in your view?
It does. It does, wholeheartedly. I mean, I think for each service member, there's there's something that is enduring about it, and it means something different to folks of different generations. But wholeheartedly, it just represents those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice, those that we don't know their names, we don't know their backgrounds, we just know that we were able to unify for a cause greater than ourselves. So that is just an echoing statement throughout the generations. And regardless if I think, the future folks who serve, they're going to have an opportunity to understand that message. It may be a unique flavor, a unique way, but I don't think it's going away in its importance.
Yeah. One of the reasons that we do this is so we can capture your experience, what you saw in your own words. So if somebody might watch this in 100 years from now, they're preparing to do just what we're doing today for another flower ceremony. What message would you like to send somebody in the distant future?
In the distant future, well.
I know it's a deep question.
It's very deep. It's profound. I would say that for anyone who is going to have an opportunity to do it, that it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to pay your respects for folks that you don't know, that have stepped up so that you could have the freedoms that you have today in the world's finest country. And it's a pretty big deal, and you need to take it seriously. Take that extra time to just be present and stand there and reflect on who you are, what this means to you, and what it will mean to generations to come.
Right. I'm going to ask you one more question. You served in the military, and you continue to serve. Why is service to your country, why is that important? Because many don't.
Yes, I fully understand. I think service is a part of my nature, altruistic and taking care of people. I think in the world, sometimes we're a bit twice removed, and people should always come first. And one of my sayings is just like, people first always. That's how I was when I was a soldier. It's how I was when I was an NCO or sergeant. It's how I am as a young professional, whether in my capacity at the Legion, my advocacy roles, mentorship. I just believe that when you continue to invest in others, they're always going to have a greater return on investment than in infrastructure or something just superficial. Like, people are worth it.
Right.
And I believe that serving is just a continuation of who I am as an individual. I've always joked, and who knows, 100 years from now, if someone's listening to this, if anyone's a Harry Potter fan, but probably the classics at some point, right? But each of the houses in the book represent these different traits and values, just as our service branches do. And I find that folks are attracted, whether it's personality or those values, to different branches for different reasons. And I feel as someone who's attracted to the Army, I think that there are a lot of folks that enjoy serving and being a part of something greater than themselves. That it's just more than a tagline on a catchy commercial. It's an embodiment of who we are as individuals and what we truly believe this country stands for. And for folks like myself, if I want to continue to serve, I will find a way to continue to serve. It's just a part of who I am, and I think a lot of people can feel that way too.
Well, thank you for that. And on behalf of the Americans in Wartime Museum, I thank you for sitting down and talking to us, and I thank you for your service and your continued service.
It's a pleasure to serve.
Thank you.